There are moments in life when everything seems to be in its right place. You have a stable job, friends who care, maybe even the kind of comfort you once thought would make you happy. And yet, something inside feels strangely hollow. You wake up in the morning, go through the motions, smile when you should, laugh when it's expected, but there's a quiet voice in the background asking, why does it still feel like something is missing? Emptiness is a subtle feeling. It doesn't always come with sadness or despair. Sometimes it's just the absence of connection, like living behind an invisible glass wall, close enough to touch the world, but never quite feeling part of it. Psychologists often describe this state as emotional numbing or detachment. It can emerge not from a lack of things, but from the quiet exhaustion of constantly pretending to be okay. In modern life, we've grown used to measuring our worth through external markers, achievement, approval, productivity. From an evolutionary standpoint, our brains were designed to seek belonging, to survive by staying close to the group. But today, belonging has been replaced by performance. We no longer ask, "Am I loved?" We ask, "Am I enough?" And that subtle shift is where the emptiness begins. The emptiness is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a message from the self, whispered beneath the noise of doing, achieving, and performing. It's the psyche's way of asking for something deeper: authenticity, presence, connection. Sigmund Freud once wrote that much of human suffering comes not from external pain, but from the internal conflict between who we are and who we think we should be. When that gap grows too wide, we begin to lose touch with ourselves. Many people who feel empty are not unhappy because of what they lack, but because they've lost the thread of meaning that once connected them to life. The French philosopher Sartre called it nausea, a feeling of being suspended between everything and nothing. Existential psychologists later expanded on this idea, that emptiness often appears when we've been living a life that looks full on the outside, but starves the inner world. When we chase what's expected and neglect what's essential. You might feel this on a quiet evening when the phone stops buzzing and there's no distraction left to hide behind. You realize you've built a life around efficiency, not intimacy. You've mastered how to appear in control, but somewhere along the way, you forgot what it feels like to be alive. The emptiness then becomes a mirror, one that reflects back the distance between your outer world and your inner self. Attachment theory offers another perspective. Many of us grew up learning to suppress emotions in order to be accepted. We learned that love is conditional, based on achievement, compliance, or caretaking. As adults, that pattern continues. We become experts at functioning, but strangers to our own feelings. When we feel empty, it's often the child within us, unseen, unheard, asking for attention. The emptiness is not the absence of emotion, but the space where emotions have been silenced for too long. In therapy, people often describe this emptiness as floating, like being disconnected from their own story. They say things like, "I don't know who I am anymore." But the truth is, identity isn't lost, it's buried. Beneath the layers of adaptation lies the original self, the part that once felt joy without justification, curiosity without fear, connection without performance. The journey toward healing isn't about filling the emptiness, it's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. From a neuropsychological view, chronic emptiness can result from long-term stress and emotional suppression. When we repeatedly avoid feelings, the brain reduces emotional activation to protect us. It's a survival mechanism, but one that also blunts joy. Over time, both positive and negative emotions become muted. We start to exist in a neutral zone, safe but disconnected. The absence of pain comes at the cost of the absence of aliveness.
Social media amplifies this disconnection. We're constantly bombarded with curated versions of life, smiles, successes, snapshots of meaning. We scroll, compare, and subconsciously conclude that everyone else seems to feel something we've lost. This illusion deepens the emptiness because it tells us that our numbness is abnormal, when in fact it's one of the most human responses to an overstimulated world. Existential psychology teaches that meaning is not something we find, it's something we create. Viktor Frankl, who survived the concentration camps, wrote that life's meaning is discovered through the act of choosing how we respond to our circumstances. When we stop asking, "What should I do to feel fulfilled?" and start asking, "What gives my life meaning today?" the texture of our inner world begins to shift. Emptiness starts to soften into awareness. To heal from emptiness, we don't need to fill ourselves with more noise. We need to slow down enough to hear what the silence is saying. The first step is acknowledgement, not trying to fix it, not rushing toward distraction, just noticing the feeling itself. The moment we stop fighting our emptiness, we begin to understand it, because emptiness isn't an enemy, it's a signal. It's your mind's way of saying you've been disconnected from something important. Often that something is connection, to people, to purpose, to your own emotions. In a world that rewards independence and control, we forget that humans are wired for connection. When we isolate ourselves emotionally, we deprive the nervous system of safety. True belonging doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being real, sharing vulnerability, admitting uncertainty, saying, "I don't know," without shame. These are the quiet acts that reconnect us to life. Another source of emptiness lies in the pursuit of constant positivity. Modern culture teaches us that happiness is the goal, and any deviation from it is failure. But emotional health isn't about being happy all the time. It's about being whole. To be whole means to make space for sadness, confusion, fatigue, and yes, even emptiness. When we stop resisting these states, they lose their power to define us. They become part of the larger rhythm of being human. Freud suggested that symptoms are not enemies to eliminate, but messages to interpret. If we approach emptiness as a message, we might ask, "What is my psyche trying to tell me?" Maybe it's asking for rest after years of overextension. Maybe it's pointing to a relationship where you give but never receive. Maybe it's revealing that your life has been shaped more by fear than by curiosity. Listening to the emptiness with compassion transforms it from a void into a teacher. Healing often begins in small, almost invisible moments. Taking a slow walk without your phone, sitting in silence until your mind stops reaching for distraction, writing down a memory that still lingers in your chest, calling someone just to say you miss them. These are acts of reconnection, threads that slowly stitch the inner world back together. They don't fill the emptiness immediately, but they begin to remind you that you are still here, still capable of feeling. There's also a spiritual dimension to emptiness. In many contemplative traditions, the void is not seen as a problem, but as a passage. Buddhists call it shunyata, emptiness as openness, the space in which all things arise. In that sense, feeling empty can be a threshold between identities, the death of oneself and the quiet birth of another. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also the sign that transformation is near. The more we resist emptiness, the louder it becomes. The more we lean into it with curiosity, the more it reveals. What if instead of asking, "How do I stop feeling empty?" we asked, "What is this emptiness asking me to see?" Often it's asking us to pause, to remember the simplicity of being instead of constantly doing.
Over time, As we make peace with the emptiness, we may begin to notice subtle changes. Colors feel a little warmer. Conversations feel more real. We laugh not because we're supposed to, but because something inside genuinely moves. The hollowness doesn't vanish, it transforms. It becomes spaciousness, room for something new to grow. In the end, emptiness is not the absence of meaning, it's the clearing where meaning can return. It's the quiet field after the storm, where you can finally hear your own heartbeat. Everything might still look fine on the outside, but inside, something begins to realign. The self, once fragmented, starts to gather again, piece by piece, breath by breath. Perhaps the question isn't, why do I feel empty? But what part of me is asking to be found? The answer, if you listen closely, is rarely about fixing or achieving. It's about remembering. Remembering that underneath the noise, the roles, and the expectations, there's a core within you that has never been lost, only waiting to be seen. And when you finally meet that part again, the quiet, tender, unguarded self, you realize that the emptiness was never a void to be filled. It was an invitation, an opening into something more honest, more human, and infinitely more alive.